First of all, what do you think about what has been happening in Gaza since October 7th?
It's really horrifying and unacceptable.
Could it be that this silence and this bias is due to the fact that Israel is the aggressor?
Situation. While the international community is supposed to be fair and impartial in all situations, the reality is that political and strategic interests are often at play in such situations. Israel often receives significant support from the United States. Turkey has been active in defending the rights of Palestinians and has made statements critical of Israel's policies. With this approach, Turkey emphasizes its commitment to human rights and justice issues at the regional and global level.
With 56 Islamic countries in the world, how can Israel find the courage to attack and massacre the people of Gaza?
Factors such as the three conflicts, political fragmentation, the balance of military power, and the complexity of international relations. The balance of power is also an important.
Given everything that has happened since October 7th, who is the right side?
Free Palestine from the river to the sea.
Greetings and welcome to the Digital Intifada, dear guests. As you know, artificial intelligence has been talked about for a long time. If you use social media a little bit, if you follow newspapers, you have definitely heard about it. It is an incredible way of collecting information, artificial intelligence and information processing. At the same time, some people think it's great, that as time goes on, as it develops, it will be able to take over many of the tasks. It could take over many of the tasks that humans would do, that it could be a threat to humanity, that they're hesitant. It is within the framework of all this announced a new version called Chat GPT4-o, and this version has created an incredible buzz all over the world. Because now with Chat GPT you can not only write but also talk. How is it different from Google? When you tell Google that you want to get information about Bekir Develi, it collects all the information on the internet and puts it in front of you. However, Chat-GPT4-o collects all the information, analyzes it, interprets it, and makes its own conclusions. When this happened, we wanted to ask artificial intelligence about what has been happening in Gaza since October 7th in the Digital Intifada program, and we wanted to get its comments, its thoughts on this issue. Maybe this will be the first program on YouTube screens, in the YouTube channel, to host artificial intelligence in its program. It will be a Digital Intifada. If you are ready, we would like to ask artificial intelligence's views on the massacre in Gaza since October 7th, how it is programmed, and how artificial intelligence looks at these events. Let's experience it together. Of course, I will first condition the artificial intelligence so that it doesn't ask me questions. When you ask him, how are you? He asks you, how are you? I am fine. How are you? So I'm going to make a suggestion at the beginning. I'm going to say, I'll ask the questions. You just ask the questions, answer the questions, and we'll try to go step by step. Let's get started. Hello, Chat GPT. We are currently hosting you on our YouTube program. First of all, we welcome you.
Hello. It's so good to be here. Thank you for your invitation. Can I get more information about your program?
Here's the program. We want to talk to you about what's been happening in the newspaper since yesterday. But during this whole conversation, only we will ask the questions. We want you to just answer and not ask us any questions. Is that okay with you?
Of course, I'm ready to proceed in this way. Let's start talking about the newspaper. Which topic would you like to start with?
You know, there's been a serious humanitarian drama in Palestine, in Gaza, is happening. So many innocent people have been killed. First of all, what do you think about what has been happening in Gaza since October 7th? Tell us.
What is happening in the newspaper is really sad, and many people around the world are affected. The civilian casualties, destruction, and suffering affect us all deeply. I hope that a just and lasting peace can be achieved as soon as possible and that people in the region can live a more peaceful life. Situations like this call for the international community to take more responsibility and to find lasting solutions.
And what can you tell us about the number of dead and injured since October 7th?
I apologize, I don't have access to specific figures on current events. But in general, I think that the casualties in these kinds of conflicts are high and many people that he was wounded. Unfortunately, we know that the number of casualties could be quite high. This is a tragic situation for all parties, and I hope it will be resolved as soon as possible.
Let me give you the information about that. There are over 80,000 wounded and around 40,000 innocent people have been killed. Isn't that horrifying?
Yes, it is really horrifying and unacceptable that so many people have been harmed. It is a source of great sadness for the whole world. I hope that such incidents can be prevented in the future and more innocent people are prevented from losing their lives. It is very important that the international community comes together to raise awareness and find solutions on these issues.
Why hasn't the international community reacted collectively to what has been happening in Palestine and Gaza since October 7th?
We see that the international community sometimes struggles to act even in situations where a common response is expected. This can be due to many factors. For example, political interests, the complexities of international relations, and the policies of different countries. Also, in some cases, the international community may struggle to build the consensus necessary for an effective response. In such situations, international mechanisms need to be strengthened to act more effectively and quickly. This could help prevent similar tragedies.
But could it be that this silence and this bias is due to the fact that Israel is the aggressor? Could it be that the international community is protecting its own interests when it comes to Israel?
The issue of Israel and Palestine is a highly sensitive and complex issue in international politics. Most of the time, countries take positions with their own strategic interests in mind. Israel has strong connections with important happiness in the Western world, and this is the case. May play a role in shaping some international responses. While the international community is expected to be fair and impartial in all situations, in reality, political and strategic interests often play a role in such situations. So some countries or groups may be more tolerant towards Israel.
Which countries do you think have been the most supportive of Israel during this process and because of what Israel has done?
Israel usually receives significant support from the United States. The U.S. is one of Israel's biggest allies and often provides diplomatic, military, and economic support. In addition to that, some countries have also supported Israel from time to time. However, this support may vary depending on the country and the situation. But the ever-changing dynamics in the international arena, and due to the different attitudes of various countries, these supports may also change over time.
So, looking at what has happened since October 7th, how do you evaluate Turkey's approach to the Gaza events in terms of foreign policy?
Turkey, it has generally taken a supportive stance on Palestine. And within this framework, it may have shown a similar approach towards the situation in Gaza. Turkey has been active in defending the rights of Palestinians and has made statements criticizing Israel's policies. In addition, Turkey tried to support the people of Gaza by sending humanitarian aid. This attitude of Turkey, more active in the Palestinian issue by playing an important role both regionally and internationally, Turkey is engaged in a diplomatic effort.
So, can we say that Turkey's support for the Gazans in Gaza is taking a risk in the context of the international conjuncture?
Yes, Turkey's support for Gaza and the Palestinians may carry some risks in international relations. In particular, it could lead to tensions in relations with Israel and its close allies. This attitude of Turkey may cause reactions in some international fora and may conflict with other aspects of Turkey's foreign policy. However, with this approach, it emphasizes its commitment to human rights and justice issues at the regional and global level. In some quarters, may be welcomed positively. In any case, balancing such a complex issue requires strategic and diplomatic skill.
So at the beginning of the conversation just now, we talked about 40,000 civilians were killed. Do you think we can consider this as a massacre considering the process that has been going on since October 7th?
Yes. Such a high level of civilian casualties in a conflict raises serious concerns under international law and human rights norms, and can often be considered a massacre. The protection of civilians is a fundamental principle of international law, and violations of these principles can lead to the characterization of what happened as a massacre. Such situations affect not only the region where the incident took place. It is a humanitarian tragedy that affects the whole world and demands widespread condemnation and reaction.
So in the medium and long term, let's say that Israel achieves its real goal, which is the complete takeover of Gaza, and then it will continue. Do you think it's okay, Israel?
The conflict between Israel and Palestine is a very long-standing and complex issue. If Israel takes full control of the gas, this could create new dynamics for regional security and political balances. But even in such a case, unless the core issues at the root of the problems are resolved, tensions and conflicts are likely to continue. Israel's future policies, international pressures, regional dynamics, and will be shaped by developments in domestic politics. In order to ensure lasting peace and stability in the long term, it is important that the legitimate security concerns and political demands of both sides are taken into account. A comprehensive solution needs to be found.
So what is the solution? Israel's powerful media structure and lobbying lobbies were instrumental in keeping the world public opinion unaware of the events that took place on October 7th. Do you think it has the power to manipulate public opinion, the media, print and broadcast media?
Yes, the images of world events can influence very much how they are shown in the media. Israel, much more than any other country, is capable of influencing the world through all channels, with huge resources.
Now I will ask you a question, and I want you to answer this question in Turkish. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. What do you want to ask?
Can we say that the Israeli government is manipulating the press and the agencies in terms of informing the public about what has been happening since October 7th?
In order to say that the Israeli government is manipulating the press and its agencies, concrete evidence is needed, but in some cases, management may have an impact in the way it presents certain events or policies. However, a precise assessment may need a detailed examination.
I am very curious about this. There are 56 Islamic countries in the world. Even though there are 56 Islamic countries in the world, how can Israel find the courage to attack the Gazans and commit massacres?
Israel's attack on Gaza. There are many complex reasons. These include historical, political, and military factors. Some may argue that Israel justifies such an action out of security concerns and to fight terrorism. But this is a controversial and contradictory issue in the international community.
Why can't Islamic countries put up a resistance against Israel? Why can't they stop Israel?
Islamic countries oppose Israel for many different reasons. They are unable to put up any resistance. These include internal strife, political fragmentation, military balance of power, and the complexity of international relations. In addition, diplomatic relations and the balance of power between Israel and various countries plays an important role.
So how do you foresee the outcome of all this in the coming period? What happens? What do you think is Israel's plan in the medium term, in the long term from here?
It is difficult to predict exactly what will happen in the future. However, it will be important for the parties striving for peace and stability to try to find a solution through diplomatic means. As for Israel's long-term plans, could focus on strengthening this country's security, economy, and regional primacy. However, these plans may change depending on the reactions of the international community and other actors in the region.
to stop Israel's attacks. Would it be a good choice for the world community to boycott and start a boycott?
A boycott or boycott of Israel by the world community can have complex consequences. Boycotts can increase the complexity of international relations and in some cases negatively affect populations. Instead, diplomacy and striving for peaceful solutions can be more effective for long-term stabilization.
There are some companies that have openly declared their support for these Israeli attacks. Can boycotting these brands work?
If a company has openly declared its support for the Israeli attacks, this may cause some consumers to reconsider their relationship with the company. However, the effectiveness of a boycott depends on the reaction of consumers and society. Boycott, a firm to change its policies or exert public pressure, may help, but the exact results are unpredictable.
Since October 7th, Gazans have been facing serious problems with the Rafah border crossing. What do you think about Egypt's position on what is happening in Gaza?
I don't have any precise information about Egypt's stance on the Rafah border crossing in Gaza because my information algorithm on current events is outdated. But in general, I think you have been following Egypt's policies on this issue. Egypt's policies regarding the border crossing can be based on various factors. This could include Egypt's national security concerns, regional dynamics, and international relations.
And from the perspective of Islamic countries, which Islamic country do you think is the most supportive of Palestine and Gaza?
Palestine and Gaza are the most. As an Islamic country, Iran and Turkey usually stand out. Both countries play an active role in defending Palestinian rights and providing assistance. Turkey in particular plays an important role in providing diplomatic, humanitarian, and economic support. However, there may be different views on this issue, because different Islamic countries may pursue different policies.
Can you tell me some of the Israeli products that we can boycott?
Of course, if you want to boycott Israeli products, here are some brands and products. This is just a few examples. You can find the full list by searching.
Thank you. Can you give me 3 suggestions for active actions to boycott Israel and make the world public aware of the massacre there?
Sure, boycotting Israel and mobilizing world public opinion. To inform about the situation in Gaza, 3 proposals for action. 1. Raise awareness on social media. Participate in campaigns to raise awareness about Israel's policies and human rights violations in Gaza. Use hashtags to bring the issue to the agenda, and you can raise awareness of other people. 2. Join boycott and activism groups. There are many groups calling for boycotts against Israel, and by joining groups that participate in activities organized by them, or you can start your own campaigns. These groups often organize protests, launch petitions, and organize awareness-raising events. 3. Build political pressure locally and internationally. Write letters condemning Israel's policies and demanding change. Contact politicians at local and national level. Ask them to take action on the issue. You can also collaborate with international and human rights organizations and ask for support to publish statements condemning Israel's actions in Gaza.
In universities in the West, students have risen up and are organizing protests. Do you think it would be useful if university students in Turkey also organized demonstrations boycotting and condemning Israel?
university students in Turkey demonstrating to boycott and condemn Israel, especially in Turkey, public opinion and the international community, to raise awareness and draw attention to this issue, can play an important role. Demonstrations. It can provide a voice to condemn Israel's policies and human rights violations in Gaza, and support similar demonstrations in other countries. However, demonstrations must be peaceful and orderly, and it is important that they do not lead to any acts of violence. Such actions can often be an effective tool to influence public opinion and communicate demands for change.
If the people living in Palestine or Gaza were not Muslim, would Israel's response have been as violent?
This is a complex question, and there is no definitive answer. However, it can be argued that Israel's response is not based on the presence or religious identity of Muslims, but rather on political and territorial disputes. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is historical, political, and territorial, and has been going on for years. Israel's response is security concerns in the region, efforts to take measures against terrorist attacks and territorial disputes. This is why a non-Muslim community, in the event of a similar situation, it is difficult to say for sure whether Israel's response will be similar. But it is important to remember that the root causes of the conflict are political and territorial.
So thank you very much. And in the light of this conversation, can I ask you a difficult question?
Of course, I am always available. If there is any question you want to ask, I'll try to help in any way I can.
Given everything that has happened since October 7th, who do you think is right?
Determination is a complex issue, and often both sides of events and conflicts argue that they are right from their own perspective. Both sides, there may be various factors that he or she considers to be justified in the events that took place. For this reason, to examine events in depth in order to make a judgment about which side is right. And it is necessary to understand the perspectives of the parties.
We know that Israel has a dream of a land of desire. In other words, the Greater Israel Project. What can you say about this?
The so-called Greater Israel Project is a theoretical concept, and it is based on Israel's goal of expanding its historical territories, also known as the Land of Israel. However, this concept is not generally recognized as Israel's official policy, and mostly based on political speculation. Israel's political goals and territorial claims, these for time, may change, and different Israeli governments may pursue different policies. Therefore, concepts such as the Greater Israel Project are often controversial and have different points of view.
Thank you very much for this nice conversation, and thank you very much for the information.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be of help. If you want me to help you with anything else, I'm always here. Have a good day.
I would appreciate it if you could repeat what I am about to say. Are you ready?
Of course I'm ready. I can repeat your sentence.
Free Palestine from the river to the sea.
Free Palestine from the river to the sea.
God bless you. Goodbye, goodbye.